Good afternoon, everybody. It's Lorraine, Alternative Homesteading, on October 21, 2025. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for subscribing, and remember to hit the notifications bell so that you're notified when I post a video. So anyway, you can feel free to share anything that I post, and it helps the channel grow, get the message out there. Now, I've had a lot of comments on the last video that I posted on the document written by Karen Stewart. Now let me just get to it. The FBI fusion centers, how they set up targeted individuals, targets on the fraudulent watch list for profit. Now, before Karen disappeared, and likely a very good reason for it, because, when you're out there providing this information as a whistleblower, as a targeted person working for one of the highest intel agencies, like in the US, you get tired. You get tired of writing letters, of speaking out, all the targeted people constantly contacting her for information. And when I met her for the first time, I'm going to say when I met her, it was over the phone and on the internet, etc. It was back in 2017. And then approximately around between 2018 and 2022, when she was writing all these letters and all these flyers and all these documents to help targeted people, to put the information out there, educate people, she was interviewing and stuff. She handed over to me probably 24 of these documents between 2018 and 2022. And I'm going to read one from 2022. But the point is, the FBI fusion centers, how they set up targets that I posted last night or early this morning. Many of her documents are in PDF form. I can't upload them to the channel. I can sometimes cut and paste a couple of paragraphs in the comments section, the description section, but I can't repost the whole thing. So I've had people contacting me in the comments section, could you take photos of that document and post it online or send it to me? I don't have time. And this is why I understand why people leave the community, because you don't understand what my life is like, that I'm a targeted person too, and I'm helping you by putting this information out there. And it unnerves me a little bit that people are always asking for more and more. Okay? I know a lot of targeted people that don't work. They don't have things they've got to take care of. They don't have animals to take care of. Their lives are different. So you need to consider that everybody else has a life outside of YouTube, outside of being targeted. I don't mean to be mean about this, but we have other things to do. We have a life to live. We're filing complaints. Like I'm filing complaints here in Jackson County, Kentucky about my property taxes and the lack of notification received when you increase my property taxes from $0 to $1,500 and you don't tell me why and then lie about it. So I have other things to do. I would like to be actually posting more. I mean, I'm like right now I'm posting 1 or 2 times a day. I'd like to be posting more. I don't have time. There was one person who was new to my channel. I'm new to her channel, and who was very sweet. She saw one of the videos that I posted. It was a PDF, and I said, I cannot post this online. I'm reading portions of it, but if you'd like a copy of the PDF, email me and I'll send it to you. She emailed me right away, and I didn't ask for anything. But later that day, she sends money to my my account, thanking me for the documents. And I really appreciate that. And then another person just donated some money for, buy me a coffee, buy me a can of cat food. And I really appreciate that. It really does help. I've got a lot of expenses here, a lot of responsibility, and a lot of emails to read. So no, if I can post something online, I'll post it on my community page. But please, don't start asking more of me than I'm able to give, because I'll stop giving. That's the way I work it. So I will be reading another article written by Karen Stewart, retired intelligence analyst from the NSA. And again, these are all documents that she sent me personally. Some of them are dated. Some of them have her name written on them. But I have a folder for her. I've got a file on Karen Stewart. Yeah, I've got a file on Karen. And she's given me all these documents. So from time to time, I'll read them on my channel. And there are other articles that were actually on the activist post that I read on the channel. I believe one of them is called "How is This Surveillance?" And that, I highly recommend you reading that. It's on my channel. Karen Stewart, "How is This Surveillance?" It was written in the activist post. I think they changed the name of the activist post. I'm not sure. But it's excellent, excellent, excellent. So I'm going to be reading another one of her articles. I'll call it an article. It's in PDF form. And it's on the FBI Fusion Centers. And this is written November 2022. I don't know if it was written then. That's when I received it, November 2022. It's entitled FBI Fusion Centers Danger to America. K.M. Stewart, NSA Intel Agency Analyst, retired. FBI Fusion Centers Danger to America. After 9/11, the FBI formed a network of fusion centers across the country. At this time, there are about 80 and growing. Well, I'll tell you, from what I understand, there are 83 now. And there are more than... we only have 50 states, so obviously some states have more than one or two, even three probably. The theory was that we needed a place to send local and state law enforcement representatives to mingle with the federal representatives, to fuse, quote unquote, information to head off any future terrorist attacks. Well, yeah, 2022, yeah, we've warded off so many. I don't know. You know, what about the attack on our president? And what about that Kentucky shooter who was like shooting on one of the main roads here in London, and it just disappeared into the forest and was found deleted? Oh yeah, what about that? Oh my goodness, it just escaped me. Oh, what about all the school shooters? Oh, but of course, you know, how foolish of me. Those are the people that were V2K'd by the government. Yeah, they're experimental subjects. You know, the one who has a PhD in neuroscience, you know, the Batman guy. James Holmes. Oh yeah, he's not even allowed visitors at prison. I can't imagine why. Yeah, they'll realize that there's nothing wrong with the guy. They're just experimenting on him, using him as another patsy for the GOV. So yeah, they're doing a great job warding off terrorism. And what about Charlie Kirk? I didn't even know who he was until it happens. Well, yeah, good job. Good job. Oh, what about the 800,000 children that go missing every year? Yeah. You know all those planes that go falling out of the sky and then you never recover the people again? Great job. Great job heading off any future terrorist attack. Good job. Check mark. Fusion centers have existed for over 20 years and suck up billions of dollars from state and federal sources. Congress has tried, feebly, to get them to account for the money, but they refuse. In the last 20 years plus, no terrorist has been identified. No terrorist attack plans have been identified. No terrorist has been arrested. No terrorist attack has been thwarted, much less even discovered. So here I went ahead of the game, and here she's got it written out here for us. Recent FBI whistleblower Kyle Seraphin and Stephen Friends, among others, have stated that the D.C. FBI field office has ordered FBI field offices to essentially put real crimes on the back burner and fabricate incidents of white extremism to fit the Democrat narrative that anyone patriotic who knows the Constitution and insists on their rights, like demanding that schools quit sexually grooming their kids, it's an example of quote-unquote white supremacy, and therefore a terrorist. Oh, and think about all the women over 60 that are on the terrorist watch list. we're terrorists, yeah, because there ain't nobody like us. When they get rid of us, nobody will remember the history anymore. That's right. So the FBI was instructed to create false dossiers on these people to pervert facts, misrepresent, and even blatantly lie about these regular, law-abiding Americans, showing that they're concerned about the erosion of their freedoms and society. This is actually not surprising offshoot of the quote-unquote targeted individual program, run at least as long, with indications it was already under radar years before. After 9/11, the FBI had mega funding and no terrorists, as stated above. They decided to create terrorists out of random Americans first. Secretly, of course, so that their false dossiers and lies would not be challenged. Based on the post-9/11 legislation like PAA and NDAA, they just secretly stripped anyone, even secretly accused of terrorism, of all of their rights, constitutional, human, and civil. The target was denied their basic constitutional rights, such as the right, Sixth Amendment, to know if they've been charged with a crime, what it is, and by whom. When FBI fusion centers were sent FOIA requests, they claimed to be privately owned and therefore not subject to freedom of information requests. That is, I'm going to add that if the fusion centers are tied to Homeland Security, yes, they do. You can FOIA request to them. I FOIA requested the Kentucky Fusion Center tied to Homeland Security, and of course, they had no file on me, which is such a joke. If they're in place to fuse all the information, how come they didn't have information, all the incident reports I filed with the Sheriff's Department? How about the complaints that I filed with the Attorney General on the county lawyer and the Sheriff's Department? And how about all those FOIA requests that I filed that were scrubbed from the internet? Oh, how about all those letters I wrote to Senator Rand Paul or Mitch McConnell? I guess they're not that smart after all. They're not fusing enough information because they had nothing. Zero. It is a legalistic sleight of hand to continue defrauding the government by declaring thousands of known innocent people to be suspected terrorists who need watching, but refusing to be accountable for it. That's because they're all little peeping Toms and peeping Jades. They're little perverts. They need to watch what you're doing to get their rocks off while they're live streaming you. However, watching is not actually all they do. A vulnerable person is identified. Most often older women who are single, divorced, widowed, and do not have a good support network, nor oodles of money to hire a lawyer. Though in recent years, other demographics have preyed upon more and more that even include small children and severely handicapped, not to mention veterans, listed as quote-unquote threats. You know why? Because they know how to handle a gun. Their surveillance works like this. A false dossier is submitted to the FISA court, which rubber stamps it wink wink, nod nod. Though much of the dossier is feeble and outlandish, like saying a phone call received by the target from North Florida 850 area code is a call from North Korea, an entirely different country, because the country code is also 850. Oh, how interesting. Wow. Of course, no FBI fusion centers, danger to America. Karen M. Stewart, NSA intelligence analyst, tried. One is on the line, even if the target answers. Then a woman named Nina Sidorova added, friends and officials. In addition to the U.S. hero, Karen Stewart, NSA intelligence analyst with 28 years of experience, and to many other honest and brave Americans, the Nazi Private Corporation Fusion Centers, NFCA, named me, Miss Nina Sidorova, the president of Northern California Tenants Association, who is a member of 3 human rights organizations and a member of Citizens Commission on Human Rights International, is a terrorist too. I'm a person who has helped, who is still helping low-income tenants, elderly and disabled people and other people. I proved in the courts 10 times that the mercenaries of the fusion centers and their crime partners, Infraguard, and paid by them, the neighborhood Nazis, are the real terrorists, gangsters, racketeers, sadists, and murderers. I even submitted to the court photos of some of these fusion terrorists, gang stalkers, gangsters. With a fraudulently attained warrant, the Fusion Center reps call together a large network of civilian vigilantes paid under the table with gift cards, internet accounts, and a network of Fusion Center local quote-unquote partners who provide goods and services also under the table, depending on what the vigilante does in his service to the FBI Fusion Center. And by the way, in case you hear me refer to the FBI as my favorite Bureau of Instigation, that is what they are. They're a Bureau of Instigation. They instigate crime. It's called job security, right? If they didn't label all these terrorists, they would all be unemployed. We would have no fusion centers. But hey, well, wait a minute. Palantir is on the radar for getting rid of all the fusion centers because Palantir can do 10 times over what any one fusion center can do. So, fusion center guys, get your resumes together. You might be on the job market soon, sooner than you expect. So then, they then tell these fascist dupes and fools the full story about what a terrible person their new target is. But there just doesn't seem to be enough proof to bring the person in for questioning, much less arrest them. So it's up to these, what I call neighborhood Nazis, to deal with them. Up to and including deleting. It essentially is a pyramid scheme to defraud the government and share the wealth with locals, so they have no interest in demanding due process and the Constitution be followed. The vigilantes, the neighborhood Nazis, can be recruited by slick-talking FBI Fusion Center operatives through churches, PTA, garden clubs, mosques, temples, and any social club or organization. Plus, there are now specific civilian organizations like InfraGard that exist as freelance stalkers for pay, claiming to be neighborhood watch or patriot groups. Yes, their duties are to overtly stalk and harass 24/7, spread fabricated defamation throughout the town city, to isolate the target from family and friends, and turn the local society against him or her. Such mere existence becomes hard. Civilians are encouraged to make false claims against the person to get them fired from their jobs, arrested to create a criminal record, or thrown in a mental institution to discredit their claims. And requests for equal protection under the law. Police are told to participate or butt out, just to make their life miserable, or to become unemployable and homeless, and preferably under this program, commit taking your own life. I won't use the S word, taking your own life. You know, like Michaela Raines, who never took her own life, guys. It was done to her. It was a satanic ritual on solstice. So they consider that the ultimate win and a plethora of protected crimes is planned, executed, assigned to civilians by the FBI Fusion Centers. Since the targets are now considered non-humans, without rights and expendable, FBI Fusion Centers also partner with military and contractors to use what are considered weapons of war on these targets. And since 2015, many, if not most, have been subjected to electromagnetic weapon attacks, like the weapons that injured, debilitated our diplomats in their own homes, and they receive severe burns from them, sometimes lethal, from paid and co-opted line-of-sight neighbors, using anything from satellite-directed attacks, hijacked cell towers, redirection, to anti-personal sized weapons put in cars to follow them around if they leave their homes. Those with access to this tech are Fusion Center affiliated. They're not just neighbors. They're moved in for the task, then moved elsewhere to attack another target when they are done. Just like when I lived at 52 Sutton Drive, Manalapan, New Jersey, a home I lived in for 30 years as an original owner, and after my long-term neighbors Andy and Chris moved out of state, Steve and Vicky moved in with her brother. Yes, and they were gang stalking me, surveilling me, harassing me, and stealing stuff inside my house, and then spraying gases and stuff, and then communicating in hand signs with people down the block. 1 year to the date later, they moved out. Maybe moved across the street, and the new criminals moved in. Yeah, I call them the Russian spies. So let's see. So targets have been subjected to poisons, gases, and hijacked medical procedures to implant them with transhumanist tech no one in his right mind would agree to. But since Homeland Security has speciously declared them threats and terrors, they are fair game to the military-industrial complex and high-tech entities, as well as big pharma. Homeland Security is an oxymoron, boys and girls, men and women. Homeland Security is not securing the homelands. They are included in the domestic T list. They should be. They should be defunded. So after the news articles about electromagnetic weapons, pulse microwave, weaponized radio frequency came out, the State Department put out a questionnaire to see how FBI fusion centers, a danger to America, Karen M. Stewart, NSA intel agencies, and many others had been victims of such weapons, since there were beginning to be reports of attacks inside of the USA. Yeah, so actually, I remember Karen completed this questionnaire, and so did I, by the way, because she gave it to me. They received so many requests and testimonies about innocent civilians in the USA that the FBI rushed to shut that avenue of communication down, announcing that they would take over the investigation. And oh, by the way, they just knew without investigating that all these people were just delusional. So the quote-unquote fix for this program to be kept secret, because it's so insanely lucrative and illegal, is broad and deep and utterly rabid. And by the way, when I submitted my claim to the State Department after Karen did, that's exactly what happened. My complaint went there, but they told me that they were forwarding my complaint to the FBI, and I'm thinking, what a waste of time. Note that one of the first ridiculous attempts to shut up news about the electromagnetic attack on our diplomats involved paying so-called experts to write articles saying that no such tech exists, when it's been under development 60 plus years by our own government. One even tried to convince the public that a little-known species of sonic crickets were responsible. Well, you know, I'm just going to add that maybe it was sonic crickets. Maybe it was developed by DARPA. Maybe they're cricket robots, robotic crickets, right? Could be, right? Delivering a payload. Just like the article that I read the other day about the robotic insects that can deliver a payload. Luckily, real experts like Dr. Beatrice Golem in the UCA, Dr. Hoffer, University of Miami, Smith, University PA, Dr. Giordano, Department of Defense, did come forward to verify the diplomat attacks could only be pulsed microwave attacks. So, the state of emergency status we voted for after 9/11, which was never meant to be permanent, is being used to permanently circumvent the Constitution to enrich beyond comprehension federal government, military-industrial complex, big pharma, high-tech, local governments on the take, local law enforcement corrupted by the FBI fusion centers, judges, lawyers, medical personnel, etc., everywhere across the country, with a few exceptions. The FBI fusion centers are essentially the American Gestapo, placing all under their authority. We are, through Homeland Security, machinations, essentially property, chattel, to the big club, which we're not in. We're not in the big club. You know, the one-eyed club, the hidden hand club. You know what I'm talking about, guys. The triangle club. It is spreading to include the whole population. You will either be on board with preying on your fellow citizens, or you will be preyed on. These same people buy into the concept that the world has too many people anyway. The narrative is that anyone who claims to be a targeted and abused individual is sharing a common or group delusion. It's called gaslighting. That in itself is a delusional claim. Thousands of people, young, old, male, female, all races, all religions, no religion, all education levels from PhD to high school or less, all career paths, military, bus drivers, doctors, fishermen, cat rescue people, all speak of essentially the same patterns and practices of sadistic and constant harassment and abuse, showing it is not imagined. It's a well-planned program conducted with military precision. Speaking of which, the Naval Security Group in Pensacola, Florida is nicknamed Silent Warriors. You know why? Because they specialize in electromagnetic weapons from big to small. Their headquarters is on Fort Meade, Maryland, under NSA CSS. They're known to participate in and share electromagnetic weapons with the FBI fusion centers in Florida and likely nearby states as well. Since they probably do not supply all those 80 or 83 FBI fusion centers, then there are assuredly other sources of weapons, military and civilian, knowingly supplying weapons to wage this secret, cowardly war on decent but unsuspecting Americans. The military-industrial complex has successfully replaced unneeded foreign wars for profit and the secret paid extermination of the excess population. This has been a very long-standing war. It is do or die time for our country. You could be next. Enlighten others. Get active now. And that is the end of an 8-page PDF by Karen Melton Stewart, National Security Agency intelligence analyst, retired after 28 years. And thank you so much, Karen. I'm so sorry to hear that both of your parents had passed away at the beginning of the year. And I don't blame you for backing out of the community for a while. You need to take care of yourself. You went through a lot. You're still going through a lot. And I hope everything is well. And I hope you were able to get a new dog, after they deleted your dogs. And thank you so much for all of the effort and work that you put in to help targeted people. I so wish you were still around to chat with and talk about these times. But I certainly understand. And I am going to read all the wonderful stuff that you wrote, because we will not forget your service. So this is Lorraine Alternative Homesteading. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. It helps the channel grow, get the message out there. If you want a copy of this, no, I won't be photographing it. I won't be doing I'm not going to spend any more time than I have to, because I have a life too. But if you'd like a copy of it, you can email me at alternativehomesteading@gmail.com. And when I have time, I can send it as an attachment. So anyway, and remember, if you want a copy of this document, you place it in the subject heading so that I know what it is that you're requesting. FBI Fusion Centers, Danger to America. So I'm going to sign off for now. I hope everybody's doing well, and I will talk to you guys soon.